Good morning. I am Diane Simmons from Cake Connection in Jackson, Michigan. And today we are going to ice some sugar cookies with rolled fondant. Okay, I'm going to show you a few different techniques how to attach it, but then I've got some fun different decorating ideas for you. Okay, before we get going, I'm going to show you today's prize giveaway. Eric's going to flip over here real quick. We have a plethora of Renshaw ready-to-use rolled fondant. I think we've got nine packs there. 4, 6, 8, 9. Yes, we do. We got 9 packages of 8.8 ounce packages. So, give you a good little rainbow and assortment. But remember, to get entered, you need to let us know you're here. So just give us a quick shout out or go share to your, if you have a group page or something, we'll see shares on there. But let us know you're here so we can get you entered to win. Alrighty? So, I'm not going to do discussion stuff on baking. We've covered that in our Cookie Decorating 101. If you've got questions on cookie recipe, the cookie recipe is actually posted on my recipe post that is, I believe I still have it up at the top of the Facebook page. So you can get recipes from different classes that I've done on there. But the cookies are on, it's a royal icing. I think it says royal icing and sugar cookie recipes. So if you're interested in that, that's there. But I get some baking tips on that one also. All right, so we've got cookies rolled out, baked, done. I am going to be working with Renshaw fondant today. Okay. So let's jump right in. And I have pre-rolled a bunch of fondant here. And I just did this using my KitchenAid pasta wheel attachment. Okay. It works great to get an even thickness out. I love it. It is probably one of my favorite toys that I have here in my little arsenal of tools and such. Okay. But those I just rolled out, put in some plastic bags. So if you do have a bunch of stuff to do, you can roll them. Once you see what we're doing, you can actually cut them ahead, put them in Ziploc bags so they're ready to go, and you can just kind of work production line. You can also put down a few sheets of saran wrap on your table and just lay them on there and just layer the saran wrap to do that if you wanted to have everything pre-cut. Okay. So, first thing I'm going to show you is I do have some buttercream icing. Okay, I'm going to show you how to just attach something quick and easy with that. But I also want to show you, I know a lot of people will just say, oh, use water, it'll work fine. Technically, it'll stick with water, okay? I personally am not a huge fan. I want to add some flavor to it a little bit. So, I came up with my little, I guess, concoction, I'll call it. Okay, and I'm just using some piping gel, some clear piping gel. All right, and honestly, I don't have any strict measurements. Okay, if you've been watching me for any length of time, you know this already. Okay, so we've got some piping gel. And then I'm just going to give you a few different suggestions for things that you can put in it to thin it, all right? You could, if you don't want to add any flavoring, but you just want something a little more sticky than water, you could just thin this down with water, okay? That would be no problem whatsoever. As I mentioned, I like to add a little flavor to it. So here are some of my suggestions. Coffee syrups work awesome to thin stuff down. They have flavor in them. There's all kinds of different flavors. You can see here I've got some vanilla. There's white chocolate. There's peanut butter. There's hazelnut, raspberry, strawberry. I mean, just, I can't even, there's lemon. Tons of different flavors of this that are available, okay? And if you haven't worked with it before, I'll kind of shake it around the bottle a little bit there. You can see it's pretty loose and thin, all right? It would be, you know, kind of consistency, what I would call like a simple syrup type consistency, all right? And I'm putting in, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon for right now. Let's stir that in. And see, that's probably plenty for this. I would guess I put in about 3 tablespoons of the piping gel. Okay? As I said, those who have been watching for any length of time, something like this, I'm not a stickler for measuring. Yes, I do measure when I bake my stuff, but for something like this, I just kind of wing it. Okay? This is some Loran flavoring. This is just some regular, just some of the Baker's Compliment that we sell here. Put in just a tiny bit. I don't even know, I doubt that was even a 1/4 teaspoon that I put in. I'll put in just a little bit. I'm not sure how much is even in this bottle. I would bet both of these I probably put more, like maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. Okay. And I'm just trying to go with something that'll kind of complement my cookie itself. Okay. So if I had done, you know, a lemon flavored cookie or something, absolutely this could be thinned down with some lemon oil, some, you could also thin down with some baking emulsion, although that's a little bit thick on its own, but if that's what you've got around in the flavor that you want, you could use it, then you might need a little bit of water with it, okay? But you can see we're somewhat, it's loose but not terribly, okay? And that's just a good consistency to work with. All right, so you'll need that. And then, I'm just gonna set this aside here, set the spoon aside. And then you will need a pastry brush or just a large soft paintbrush will work too, okay? I normally use pastry brush. But whatever you have handy, roll with it. Okay? Set this stuff aside. Alright, so with the fondant, you want to work with, let me think, what do I want to start first? I think we'll do some flowers here first. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the leaves or not, because I got a lot of stuff I want to show you on the square ones and the flowers. Alright, so with our rolled out, I think I'm going to do my purple first. And I have one of my Dab-A-Dusters from FMM. And I just want to put a little bit, I have just some powdered sugar in there. You can use a powdered sugar cornstarch mix, whatever works for you, okay? But you just want something down just so it doesn't stick terribly. All right, then the cookie cutter that I used for the cookie itself, and we're just going to cut that, and then I just wiggled a little bit to make sure I had a good clean cut everywhere. Okay, and then we are just going to take our brush and put a coat of that thin down piping gel on there. All right. We have our cutout. And we're going to lay that on. And I'm just kind of gently going to pat that down to get that on there. All right. And there you go. We have cookie iced. Okay. And I'm going to put this back in the bag. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it for something else. We'll see here. So I'm going to leave it rolled out just in case. Also just for how thick to roll, this on my pasta machine I left to the thickest setting. Okay. You could go a little bit thinner. I feel like this is actually thinner probably than if you put royal icing on. All right, so I think that's a good thickness to work with for it. But you do whatever makes you happy. Okay. So there we've got that one. And then I'm going to do another one. Actually, let me think. I think I had here what I'm going to show you. Which ones? And this pink, if you watched the other day, if not, I'll just real quickly brief you. This is actually, I took a pound of fondant and then a half pound of candy clay and mixed them together. Okay, just so it had some white chocolate flavoring to it. Okay, just a little something to make the fondant taste better. If you have questions on that, definitely recommend go back and watch my video on covering a cake in fondant. Okay, this is actually what I covered the cake in. Again, it's a candy clay fondant mixture, so it'll give you a little better taste than just a straight fondant if you don't, particularly care for that. Okay. So we're going to again cut that out and just wiggle a little bit to make sure you've got a good clean cut. Throw that back in the bag. Okay, so then to cover with, again, this is just some buttercream. I don't want to put, if I'm using buttercream, typically, if I think there's any chance I might be bagging or stacking these, I'm not going to put a thick layer at all on this, okay? So with the buttercream, I'm just going to put a very thin layer down. And I will be very honest, usually if I do this, I will nitpick to the point that I will get out a piping bag with like a tip 4 on it. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me do that, because it does take me a little bit of time. But I will use that to go around the edges just to make sure I've got everything nice and neat and tidy on it. Okay? Or alternatively, if you are up for it, I'm going to show you here in just a second. Okay, so I'm going around and just kind of cleaning out some of my excess buttercream right now, where I know there's some extra in there. All right. I could, let's see, here, we'll grab a paper towel. I could flip that over and actually take the buttercream on the back of this and spread it around on there. Okay. The reason I typically don't do this, though, is you run the risk of kind of pulling and spreading your fondant out. So I'm not a huge fan of this, just because of running into that issue. And you can, if you do that, And I find it a little bit easier, if doing that, to actually flip the cookie upside down, attach it, and then flip it back over. Okay? So if you do that, if it does stretch and distort your fondant a little bit, it's not a huge problem. You can kind of push it back, stretch it out, work it with your fingers somewhat while you're smoothing it down, and push it back where you want it. Okay? So there you can see. Now, hoping you can kind of see. Let me take my fondant smoother on that too. A few bubbles in there. Or not bubbles, but ripples, I guess, underneath it. There, I'm just going to kind of smooth that down a little bit. Alright, so when you do that, you have to go back and do a little bit of cleanup with it. Okay? So this is definitely, it's not my favorite thing, but I know some people want some buttercream on there. So I wanted to show you how to do it. They want it there for the flavor and the taste and stuff. So yes, it's definitely an option, but you got a little more finessing and messing around with it to kind of clean it up afterwards. And you don't have to go back in there. This is me being very fussy and picky, all right, about it being cleaned up. You wouldn't have to do that. Okay? But there you've got some buttercream underneath. This one just has the corn syrup, or I'm sorry, the piping gel mixture under there. Okay? Oh, and speaking of corn syrup, you could also thin down your piping gel with some corn syrup as well, if you wanted to. Okay? So, those two. Now I'm still going to go back and do some stuff with those in a little bit. But I want to show you some other things. One of the, I guess I call it upside bonuses of fondant. You can do some decorating before you put it on your cookie even. Alright? So I have a couple stencils here. I'll at least do this one because this just looks cool when it's done. So, lay your stencil on top. Is this going to show up good with the white fondant? I need it on there for what I'm doing next. But, alright. If you can't see this so well, bear with me. It's going to show up better once I do the next step of this, okay? So there's a reason we want the white. I am pushing down. I'm putting a fair amount of pressure, but I'm pushing down on that. And what I'm doing as I push, I'm basically embossing somewhat. But that pushes so the fondant comes up through the edges of the stencil, okay? So it kind of raises this flower pattern a little bit on there, all right? So then, I'm going to bust out. I have some luster dust here. And we've got a few brushes to play with. Now these are, to do this, I generally use a bit stiffer of a brush, okay? Oops, this wasn't even opened yet. Okay, so we have some luster dust. Let's do, I think I'm going to do some watermelon, some pink and gold maybe. We'll see. I'll kind of roll as I get going with it. Alright, so putting some in. And we're zoomed down nice and close here so they can...
As we can.
Are we having issues again today? Okay, you guys, just FYI, I looked into it. The whole zooming in thing, this is not my phone. It's not Eric's camera work here. This is a Facebook issue, I have found out. Okay, I have a group that I belong to on Facebook that is a bunch of retailers, and I went in after we were having trouble the other day, and I said, hey, anyone else having issues? The company that runs the group, because it's a paid thing that I do for social media, they have actually been in touch with Facebook, and there are issues on Facebook. So if you are watching any live videos from other places, whatever, and they're running into this also, let them know it's not them. It is a Facebook glitch, and Facebook is supposedly working on it. We will see. Okay? So anyways, back to what we're working on here. I am just taking some luster dust and brushing it on. And you notice on some of these, I'm not doing the entire flower with it. Okay, I'm just going around the outside edge or something, or maybe over on one half of it. I'm going to bring some gold in too. I feel like it's going to look pretty, but we'll see. Okay. And you can incorporate as few or as many colors into this as you want. All right. Just kind of bear in mind the waste of this. So you may want to cut it down. I did not, obviously, when I was doing this. But you may want to cut it down a little bit closer to the size of what you're going to work, what your cookie is that you're going to cut it out to. Okay. There, we'll keep that brush separate because that's our pink one. And then I have some shiny gold here. Okay. And if you notice, I'm just kind of brushing this over sporadically here and there. Some of the pink I'm leaving where I'm not brushing it on there at all. Some of it I'm kind of brushing over part of it. So we're going to have a good little mix of colors here with them. All right. And then I did not grab, Eric, can you reach back behind one of those big tall black brushes way at the back wall there? Thank you. Sorry, I forgot one brush here. This is just a big floppy brush, okay, just a big soft one. When you get done, before you lift your stencil, you just want to basically brush all your loose particles off, okay? So you can see over here to the side, hopefully just some of the excess left over, all right? If I lifted that stencil up without doing that, then I am going to have a bit of a mess. All right. Now, before I cut this, I want to make sure when I was pressing that stencil in, I want to make sure I didn't stick to the table. So I'm just going to run this along underneath there. And it was actually stuck in a couple spots, so I'm glad I did that first. Okay. But is that showing up? Or if I move it around a little bit, can you guys see? Pretty cool looking, I think. But then you can line your cutter up and wherever you like the layout of the design there. There. And if you have something, if you have some little mini round ones or something that you can use these for, you could also even cut some little circles possibly, and use some of your extra just for add-ons to other cookies. Okay, so if you don't want to waste it, you don't have to. But otherwise, you can just ball it up, and that would be something I would most likely eventually use just to make, well, this one is just pink and gold. But you could use it for just to make some black or a darker color, okay? And again, using my palette knife to kind of get that on there. And I don't want to touch a lot. I'm going to try and hit it in the white spots, more so to tap it down. And I'm going to tap it in my hand just for a little extra gravity. But I don't want to sit here and go around and tap the whole thing real tight and hard, okay? Because I don't want to risk smudging my flowers on there. All right? You guys like that? Hopefully. I think that's a lot of fun. And that's something, like I said, use a bunch of different colors and you get some really, really cool looks. So a lot of times I would do like some purple and some yellow and some pink. Maybe even if you've got a pattern or a stencil with a little leaves in there, you know, obviously put your green in there. But I love this look. Way cool. All right. So then, next thing I want to show you okay, if you can see, hopefully, this fondant, here we'll see if they show up side by side at all. Got a little piece off this. Is a lot thicker. Is that shown on the screen, doll? Much thicker that is, sort of. Okay. This is thicker than what we were doing. All right. There's a reason for that. Let me show you what we're going to do with that. So, just going to use some of my stuff on here. And do we have questions you're getting stuck with, Eric, or?
No.
No? Okay. All right, so we've got that down. Now, I don't think we're going to do another one, but bag this up real quick here. Get my mess cleaned up a little bit. Okay. So, with our thicker fondant, and this is one of those, if you are good at eyeballing and kind of setting your design, that is fine. Sorry, I gotta grab some cutters real quick. Okay. So I am just going to make light marks in here. Okay. Show up. Oops. Do that other one just a little bit darker. You got back on there? Okay. There. Now hopefully you can see on there. Alright, we just did 3 quick little marks on. Okay. So, I'm going to show you a few different ways here to essentially lift these and make, I've always called them pop-up flowers. I don't know if there's any technical name. This is just something I started doing years ago. Like I said, I kind of, it's a way to make them pop up, okay? So, you can use various, this is just my bag of round tips. All right, different size tips in there. All right, so you can take this, okay, go in here at the end, cut in a little bit, and lift that. Cut your petals, all right? So I'll do this whole flower that way.
While you're doing that, someone had a question a while back about the coffee syrups.
Yes.
Could you use those in royal icings if you wanted to add flavor that way?
I have, yes. I have used those. I love coffee syrups. I have used them in all my icing for flavoring. I have used them in my cakes for flavoring. I use them in all kinds of stuff in place of liquid. Okay.
And then there was another one on here. I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about, but
Okay, what do we got?
What is Baker's Compliment?
Baker's Compliment is just a flavoring. To me, it kind of reminds me of, I guess, a more old-fashioned icing. See, this isn't going to make sense to anyone I know. But there was a bakery that it used to be our treat that we got to go to get cookies years and years ago. And it's very reminiscent of their icing to me, of the flavoring that was in it. So, I don't really have a good description, though, as far as what it tastes like, as far as what notes are in it. I mean, it's not really a fruity or a nutty, any one thing that I can pin down to tell you. Okay? So it's just, like, it's a flavoring. I don't know how to give you a good description on what type of flavoring, though. And I apologize for that. Okay, so this one we did. I just used a tip. I think I used a 12 on there just to go in at the outline and lift those petals up. Okay. This is a tool from Matiko, I think. Just a minute. Let me put some glasses on here and see. Yes, this is from Matiko. They have a three-piece tool set, just with some different ends on them, things you can do. Okay. I have not personally used this one, but it should be about the same theory, I hope. No. Okay. The end of this is too thick compared to our piping tip. So here you can see all it is doing is digging and pushing the fondant back. It is not cutting. All right. Can we zoom in on that to see that it's okay? So that one, I had not personally used that one before, so we are not going to use that one before. Or we're not going to use that one for this. But I have done ceramic tools, okay? These are in, like Michael's, Joann's has them in their clay departments, okay? There's all kinds of fun little ceramic tools in there. And I used to have, and I think they're in storage at my house. But there's some like these that have little wires on the end, okay? They're called clay cutters. But there's lots of different sizes. It's just a thin wire on the end of this in different loop shapes, okay? Those work awesome for this too. All right? But these are always nice and sharp. You can go in, cut, and lift with those too, okay? You can also use your palette knives to go in and cut around and lift your petals up that way, okay? Now you can, I'm going to go back to the tips for this, for my next thing that I'm going to tell you that you can do, because I think it's easiest to do with tips. unless you have a set of those the clay cutters, okay? Because those you can do amazing things with. The other thing, and I haven't looked at them in a while, but I believe the fruit, what to say, like for your watermelon sculptures and stuff, they're going to have a lot of good tools in there that would work awesome for this too, okay? But hopefully you can see, I'm just kind of going in and just sort of pinching the ends of my petals back off a little bit. Okay, so you can see a different look there. But I want to go back here. So we're going to do these. I'm just going to run around here real quick again. That's getting a little bit, it's already starting to dry out a little bit on me here. Oops. Okay. A little bit of elephant skin going on there. And that is purely just from me sitting here talking while I'm going along. Okay. But you can go in between them too. If you want to lift up another layer, you can also grab a smaller one. All right, and cut in that way. So just as you do layers, I'm going to do some out here just on the side just to show you. All right, so put your first one in. You're going to go kind of deep, but then if you do another layer on top of it, you don't want to go as deep with it, and just kind of lay down a little bit more on the side, okay? So then you've got some multiple petals going on there. If you want to do that, something more like a daisy type look or something, okay? So the first one, you do a little bit more of an angle, go in deeper. Your second one, you're going to lay a little bit flatter and just do a thin, kind of more of a thin. And I will say this is much easier to do without gloves on. Just wash your hands super, super good before you do it. Okay? But that is just some pop-up, what I call pop-up flowers. Here we'll just real quick grab my paper towel back here. But you can just kind of accent, tip those leaves off. I'm going quick, I know, I'm not trying to do anything fussy fancy. There you go. But that just gives it a little bit of dimension. Okay. There's those. All right. Tips off to the side here. So, on our other two that we did, oh, there we go. Just want to do a couple quick painting things to give you some ideas to dress these up a little bit. All right. This is some of our vodka. Just going to put a couple drops in there. And this is just some of our white snowflake petal dust. Okay. And a little wispy brush. I don't think I've got enough vodka in there. No, I definitely do not have enough vodka in there.
All right, I got a question for you.
We got a question. All right, what do we got?
If you stenciled with the floral pattern on the thicker fondant, could you go back in with the tips like you are showing now to pop them up?
yeah, you can use anything for your basically it's your guide for what you want to cut to pop up. Okay? So it's essentially whatever you need to get yourself some sort of a, like I said, a guide, just to know where you want or where you don't want to. And like with this one that I stenciled, I could go back in and just do the outer levels of those just a little bit on each of them. You wouldn't even have to do the whole flowers, or you could go in and do all the flowers. Just depends on what look you want. But it's a fun, simple little way to get a little dimension going on.
So with the fondant hardening, how much time in advance do you need to do those? Or will it get too hard? Or
are you talking about so you can bag them? Or what exactly? I'm not totally certain what you're asking here.
The question, as it was written, does the fondant get too hard? How much time in advance can you make them?
As far as your fondant getting hard, it's going to depend on what. I'm going to pull a little piece of this purple out here just to test my white paint and see. I'm not sure if I'm just a little on the thick side yet. Your fondant getting hard is going to depend on your fondant, the type of fondant you're using. It's, as far as if you want to bag it, that's one thing. The good thing about this, you can bag this a lot quicker with fondant than you can with royal icing, okay? So if you get a last minute order, that's one of the reasons I like the fondant for a last minute thing. You can do it super quick and get them out. You could technically bake these, put the fondant on, and have, let them cool down, put the fondant on. You could have these out the same day, okay? Where the idea of doing that with royal icing, even with a dehydrator, it's pretty non-existent, okay? So as long as you can do something that you can paint the whatever look you want on here, then you can do this and get them out super quick. Okay, I am just using a little wispy brush on here. And we'll try and do this super, super quick for you. Whoa, definitely did not get my brush thin down enough on that one. That's okay. We'll roll with it.
Someone had a little bit more technical question for the business.
What do we got?
What is our estimated time of arrival on shipments right now?
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing with the whole country right now with that one. So, estimated time of arrival on shipments. I'm laughing because every shipping company is bogged down beyond belief right now. Okay? They're all experiencing delays. We have numerous packages going out daily. I have many of them. People are getting them in their 2 to 3 days as expected. But we also have some that we are having issues with. My husband, actually, he ships a lot of stuff too for his. And he had one that was going right here in the state. And the guy sent him a message, hey, can you check on this? I should have had this. My husband looked and it was in Hawaii. Okay? We are in Michigan. It was going to Michigan. So that is why I kind of chuckled at the question. And like I wish I could say I can tell you this: we ship our packages same day, depending on the time as long as it's here before about 3 o'clock or so, it goes out same day. But otherwise, it would be going out the next day unless you hear from us. Okay, if there's a problem, something out of stock or we don't have it, whatever, we would be calling you, obviously. But otherwise, packages are going out immediately. And after that, once we turn them over, unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do to control. Just bear in mind that unfortunately it's the times right now and what we're going through with the pandemic. Everything is slowed down. Okay?
A little bit lighter question. Can you airbrush on fondant just fine?
Yes, you can. That was my other. I'm not going to bust the airbrush out, but I was just going to say, okay, so this is one of our wispy brushes, all right? And just quick went around. What did I think? I was going to grab. Oh, well. You could pipe like some little yellow flower centers in there. I'll finish this up after I get done filming today and put a picture on too, so you can see it. Yes, airbrushing. You absolutely can go airbrush. Instead of what I just did, you could just go airbrush some white on. For this one, for example, just around to define your petals if you wanted to. You could even, airbrush the stencil like what I did here. You could airbrush it instead. Okay. So plenty of different looks with that. Let me see, what else do I want to show you? Oh, here we go. So then you can also do quick little add-ons. Trying to think what will look best. May have to put a little square together instead. Okay, I think I'm going to put a little square one here. And just make a quick little flower arrangement for it.
Could you possibly use a stamp?
Oh!
To come on?
Yes!
So nice.
Thank you.
Stamping.
Okay. Where is it? Here it is. Give me 1 second here and let me show you. We'll do that on this next one. So, stamps, embossers, buttons. Thank you for that question, whoever threw that out there. You must have been in my mind about an hour ago as I was grabbing everything and making sure I tried to remind myself everything I wanted to show you. Because that is one of the things we want to show you. Okay, so as I said, stamps, buttons, embossers, if you have them. A lot of companies are not making them anymore specifically for cake decorating. Okay, but if you happen to have some of the old embossers, this was, I think, FMM that had them, and I don't believe they do anymore. If they do, they might be a bit hard to get a hold of. Okay, so we've got some soft fondant here that we just put on. And like I said, this is an embosser, but you can get a lot of just buttons in your sewing department that have little raised designs and stuff on them, okay? They work great for this. Just, I would recommend take them home, wash them in some bleachy dish soap water, okay? Just to make sure that they're nice and clean. Scrub them down the best you can. But then you can use these for this. Stamps, same thing. Get them, sanitize them the best you can, okay? But, your stamps that you buy at the store, you can use those too. The one thing with the stamps, I would recommend get some clear ones instead, okay? Just because they're easier as far as lining up, seeing where you want them, so on, okay? So I'm just going to press this in, because I have a little bit of an idea what I'm going to do here next. Kind of dress this up. Oops. Okay, so I just pressed that in a few different times on there. Okay. And then we have one of our, this is a Katie Sue mold. And I just have my purple, and I'm just going to dust it real quick. Whoa. Definitely got a lot more dust in there than what we wanted. Holy howser. Okay. There we go. So I think I'm going to, might actually do a couple different ones here. So I'm just pressing my fondant in, and then I'm going back and pushing back in towards the center, all the way around the edge, just to clean up my edges, okay? So we've got that all set. And just kind of bend that a little bit, and that pops out. Okay? And we'll do another one, that same one. And I'm not going to dust it this time. Just to see how this fondant works with it. I honestly, a lot of times I don't dust these, okay? As long as I know my fondant's going to work okay with them. That seems to be doing fine with this. And this is just straight Renshaw fondant here that I'm using, okay? And just pushing it in, getting most of the excess off, and then I'm going back and pushing from my edges back in towards my center, okay? Again, just to clean up the edges on it. All right? And then I want to grab a little bit of my pink. Actually, I'm going to use some of this. Mix that. This has that pink luster dust in it. But I'm not grabbing my other pink because it has the candy clay in it. And that is a lot softer. Where this one is just straight fondant. So that's got a little bit of pink in there. And we'll do this other flower with that. Okay. All right. Get out of there. There it comes. Let's see, I put, trying to figure out how many, I think we'll do 2 of these pink flowers and then 3 of the purple ones. All right. There, and then if you want, you do not have to, but if you want, before you put those on, show you on the pink one here. Okay, getting a lot of my excess off, but you can just dress them up. I'm just coming out here on the edges, hitting my brush mostly on the edge, and just kind of letting it come in a little bit. Okay. Oh, and I have an idea I'm going to do here in just a sec. Okay. So then I'm going to take one of my small brushes. And where do I want to set this? My brush is sticky and gooey here. I don't want to put it down on my table especially. Okay, so I'm going back over to my piping gel here. And I'm actually backing up real quick because I'm gonna go paint something first. I think I'm gonna paint my leaves gold. And then I'm gonna paint the center of my flowers gold too. Make that look kind of cool. So I have mixed up way too much vodka with this. I'll put a little bit more dust in. And we'll stir that back down. That's better. Okay. And again, this is just some of our shiny, our shiny gold with some vodka mixed in. Okay. And I don't know that I want to, I don't want to paint them. I think I just want to kind of, I'm skimming over the top of it real quick. Can they see that?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay.
Everyone's asked for pictures at the end.
Yes, I will definitely post pictures at the end. Okay. Give me, just give me a little bit of time so I can finish them off. If I didn't get something completely finished off for you. Okay, I'll go finish it and then I'll get some pictures taken and posted. Okay, so there. Again, I just kind of brushed over the top of it. I didn't make them a solid gold on there. You could, either way, whatever. Grab a dry brush, doesn't have anything, get some of my excess out of here. Okay, so now I want to take some of my piping gel. I'm just brushing some on the back there. Put that down by the leaf. Okay. Grab my purple one. Put the purple one down by that leaf. Let's see. I'm going to let's put you over here. And then I'm actually going to cut, get my duster thing out of here, getting a little bit of a mess. I'm going to cut part of that off. Okay, because I did my leaves, some of them going off the edge too. So I kind of want to do the same thing with some of my flowers. Okay. That one there, rolling off the edge, and then can even go back the part that I cut. Let's see, we'll bring that back in right here, and then do the same thing with the pink one here. And that's just something, whatever pattern you're doing, I think it just helps make it a little more realistic. All right, if you bring portions of your flowers, okay? Don't just stop everything right there in the center. Right, work it so it looks like a whole, what you got going on there. And then we're going to take our gold, and go hit the centers of the flowers. Just because, again, I think it'll help bring it together, having the gold leaves on there, and then doing gold centers with them. Kind of pretty. Don't need there. Okay. There we go. See, but fairly quick and easy. Okay. And you could, if you wanted, like this one, I don't know if this brush is going to be the best one to work. Oh well. We'll do it a little bit with this brush. Okay. You could go back in and hit some of these spots with your gold dust, just to kind of bring them out a little bit more. Okay. Don't have to by any means. And I gotta be honest, this is probably a lot more work and fuss than I might want to do. Yeah, I'm not seeing that happen too much. Okay. The other thing you could do too is your black food color marker, or, well, whatever color. You could take your food color markers to these right away. Oh, that's what I was going to show you on here. Just one sec. Where are we at in time? Oh my gosh. I keep doing this. So I had someone message me a request for one of these classes, and it's something I think would probably take a couple hours. And that's what I told her. I said, I gotta figure out how on earth I can possibly downscale this. So I'm working at it. But you could take your marker, okay? And I am not, this is not my forte in life. I don't like drawing on, I've told you guys this before. Okay, I know some people are very big on this. I am not. So I'm sure many of you out there can do this so much better. I like things neat and tidy and all put together well.
What would be the best way?
I'm trying to trap my inner free spirit here and just roll with this. And what would be what?
Attaching a stick.
Oh, attaching a stick on cookies. I personally always do that before I bake. Okay. You can, if you do it afterwards, my recommendation is do it with some white chocolate on the back. Okay. So dip in some chocolate and lay down on the back. And then even after it dries, go put a little bit more white chocolate on there just to secure. Okay. But like I said, I usually do it before baking. And I would just use, like if I were rolling out to, let me think. If I were rolling out like to 3/8 inch, then I would do like a 1/4 inch stick inside of it. Okay. But just as you're, so you take your stick, put it in, but I kind of hold my hand down over, and then I roll it. If you guys can see. So I kind of hold my hand over where I'm putting the stick in, and I just kind of gently roll it, rock it back and forth a little bit to push it in. Again, that's before I bake, okay? Whoops. Goop all over there. But then just bake with them right in there, okay? The downside to doing that, obviously you have your sticks sticking out, and you can only bake typically 6 or so at a time on the pan, you know, depending on your pans. But usually it's like 6 or 8 that I can get on there. So that is a little bit of the downfall with it. But it works. So, okay, Eric, do we have a winner today?
I do indeed.
Because I've already went over an hour. We gotta wrap this up and give somebody some prizes.
It is an Ivy Bloss, IVYBLAS.
IVYBLAS?
Yep.
So Ivy Blas or Blas.
First and
Maybe?
last. Yep. Something
Okay.
like that.
So Ivy, if you are still with us, if you would please send me your mailing address and I will get that shipped out to you. Again, it's a whole bunch of Renshaw that you won today. So congratulations, Ivy. And I thank you so much for joining us. On Wednesday, we are going to do cupcakes that I'm going to pipe flowers directly on top of the cupcakes. Not Russian tips, but think more like roses, apple blossom type, carnation type, that sort of daisies, that type of stuff. But we're going to pipe them directly on the cupcakes so you don't have to do them ahead of time and mess around. We're just going to pipe them and they'll be ready to go. Okay? So hopefully you can join us on Wednesday. I thank you so much for joining us today. And everybody have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.